This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and after 26 years of doing this show, 5 nights a week, 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night, still coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. Our radio station website is www.xzoneradiotv.com, and of course, for all the shows that we have available for you 7/24/365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And along with being on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, we are heard around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network Mutual Broadcast Network. Let me see, across Europe on Euro Radio TV and Radio X, as well as our good friends iHeartRadio. My guest this hour is Christiana Gaudet. She has been a full-time tarot professional for the past 25 years from her office in Palm City, Florida. She serves a worldwide clientele, as well as providing readings and tarot education. Christiana mentors metaphysical professionals in the development of their skills and business. Joining me now on tour, she is now in the state of Connecticut, is Christiana Gaudet. And Christiana, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Great having you with us. Now, you've also been, let me see, a Certified Tarot Grandmaster from the Tarot Certification Board of America in 2016. You were named, all right, help me out here.
Sure. In 2016, I was really honored to receive the award of Tarosophist of the Year from the Tarosophy Tarot Association, which is the world's largest tarot association based in the UK. They do conferences all over the world. They're run by Marcus Katz and Tolly Goodwin, who are some of the most prolific and well-respected tarot authors of our time.
Now, you've also been the resident psychic of 14 different radio stations, and you've been featured on Fox News and Inside Edition. Wow, you really get out there.
I really try. I really do. Some of it comes to me, some of it I look for, but it's, it's been my full-time job for a long time. So I enjoy getting out in as many venues as I can.
Plus, you're an author.
I am.
Holy cow.
My first book, Fortune Stellar, is actually, the second edition is coming out this summer. I was published by Jupiter Gardens Press, 2 books, Fortune Stellar and Tarot Tour Guide.
Right.
Fortune Stellar is about how to be a professional tarot card reader. And Tarot Tour Guide is really a book about learning to read and understand tarot from a spiritual perspective, focusing especially on its connection to the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water. So the funny story is, I really wanted to do second editions of the books. And I was going to approach my editor about that possibility, but before I could, she sent me an email saying she was going out of business and therefore my books were going out of print. And so bad news, I'm out of print right now to this minute. Good news, second editions are on their way. The first one will be Fortune Stellar this summer, as I said. And then later in the fall, the second edition of Tarot Tour Guide will come out. Toward the beginning of the new year, Project X, I'm not telling anyone what it is, but my third book will be released.
Well, good for you. Now, I've got about a minute before I have to take my first break here. What was it in your life that put you on the path to becoming a person who works in the world of metaphysics?
Oh my goodness. It's the weirdest thing. I had been interested I remember being interested when I was like 6. Mm-hmm. I've been interested for all of my life. My dad was a Methodist minister, so spirituality was, in our household, sure. Certainly. But I really backed into it as a career because I couldn't figure out anything else to do. And the one thing I was really good at was reading the cards. And that's what ended up happening. It started as a hobby, and it was one of those beautiful hobbies that turned into a career.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take our first break. Exo Nation, Christiana Gaudet is our special guest. Her website is christianagaudet.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. This is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you around the world Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back, everyone. Great being with you again tonight. I hope you're nice and dry wherever you are. Here in Hamilton, I was driving around earlier today with my wife, sure to find somebody by the name of Noah building an ark in their backyard, or, you know, we were even on the look for animals walking down the street 2 by 2. Well, we haven't found any yet, so I guess it will get sunny one day. Christiana Gaudet is our special guest this hour, ChristianaGaudet.com. And would you rather be a card reader, or would you rather do psychic readings, or what is your preference?
Well, I think it's one and the same for me.
Okay.
When I do a reading, I absolutely am in communication with those who have passed on. I have a lot of mediumistic ability.
Mm-hmm.
I am able to see a lot more than what you would expect to find from rote card interpretations.
Right.
And so I call myself a psychic tarot reader. And I love tarot. I love the medium of tarot. I love teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea that pictures can tell stories.
Right.
And I find a great deal of power in that. I also believe that, you know, the third eye, the brow chakra, what does it do? It's our eyesight, it's our imagination, and it's our psychic ability. So the third chakra is stimulated when we look at the pictures. So I think that tarot is just an amazing tool, and it brings out the psychic ability in everyone.
Can you tell us a profound and interesting story from your career?
Oh gosh, well, there are many every day, but I'm going to tell you one that probably is the one that affected me most personally.
Okay.
And this is going back many years, probably about 20 years. And I've been a full-time reader since I started,
Mm-hmm.
but I would take little part-time jobs here and there. And I was at one such job in the summer working at a campground in the office with a young lady who was much younger than myself. She was in high school. It was raining, and she said, "Hey, Christiana, you got your cards. No one's here because it's raining. Can you do a reading?" And so I said, "Fine, I'll read for you." And in the reading, it became very clear that her younger brother was very sick.
Oh, no.
And I did not want to tell her that her brother was going to die because, you know, who wants to do that?
Sure.
And so I said a prayer and I said, "Show me another option. What's another option?" And in the reading, it became clear that I should be this young man's kidney donor.
Ooh.
And so I was.
And did he survive?
Oh, yes, he survived. I danced at his wedding. He's had a baby now. The funny thing about this is that whole situation changed him a lot. And I don't know if it was being healthy then that changed him, if it was the fact that someone did something kind for him, or if he actually got a piece of me in him and that changed him. But he went from being an engineering student to being a social worker. And he has now spent the last 20 years working with the AIDS Project, helping people with HIV/AIDS.
You know, that's one of the most, I can't explain it. That's one of the most wonderful stories I've ever heard on this show.
Thank you.
Like if you were here, I'd give you a big hug.
And I'd hug you back.
Like, what a great person.
Well, the moral of the story is, if you're working with spirit and you ask, show me another way, you got to be willing to go where spirit leads. And this was definitely a spiritually led thing. I believe that all the work I do is spiritually led. Typically, it doesn't involve me so personally. And of course, that wasn't a professional reading. That was me reading for a friend. But in my professional readings, which of course is the bulk of what I do with tarot these days, I think that spirit always finds a way to speak and to touch the person I'm working with in a way that is life-changing. Certainly not in that way, but in profound ways nonetheless.
Do you think that it was destiny that brought you and her brother together, sitting in that campground office that day and doing that reading, and it was shown to you?
And
that is so I'm giving you another hug, damn it.
Thank you. Well, there were some funny things. And, I am not a person who believes in destiny all the time. I think a lot of times we create our own destiny. We create our own fortune. We create our own luck. But here's the thing. My name is Christiana. His name is Christian. Our names are exactly the same except for one letter. Okay. When we did the testing, we were so compatible. It looked as if we were family, and we're not. We're no relation, but we were very, very compatible. And when they tested me, they found out that one of my kidneys had 2 branches going into it, not just one. So the recovery for me with the remaining kidney was much quicker.
Holy cow.
I know. So yeah, I mean, how can you look at that and not see some sense of destiny, spiritual intervention, something like that? And of course, my family, now at the time, I had my husband and 2 young kids.
Right.
And my family was very supportive. The community was very supportive. We were in Putnam, Connecticut at the time. And it was a really beautiful thing. I mean, physically painful, difficult, all of that, of course. Sure. But really a profound and beautiful thing.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Sure.
I've been doing the show for 26 years, and that has got to be one of the most moving stories I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And, the interesting thing, and we didn't find out until later, but this young man was not a candidate for dialysis.
Oh, gosh.
He was, and I think, had it been now, the technology is better, he probably would have been. But back then, he wasn't going to work on dialysis. That wasn't going to happen. And so he was losing his kidneys and therefore losing his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with law enforcement using your skills?
I have. And it's a tough thing. I'm actually working on some cold cases right now, which is something I've never done before, and we'll see how that goes. But I have been able to assist in finding missing persons. The thing about doing that kind of thing is it's not always a happy ending. One of the most traumatic ones was a person who was missing, and I was able to pinpoint where the person was, and they kept moving. He had been kidnapped, and they kept moving location. It was in Mexico. They kept moving locations, and we couldn't get there fast enough. And so that was hard. But I have also been involved in the recovery of runaways, still alive and unharmed. And of course, that's my favorite outcome.
There are a lot of people who claim to be psychic out there today. You know, 12, $13, and you pay hosting, and bang, you go online and be a psychic. How can listeners and how can the public differentiate between a wannabe psychic and a truly professional and gifted psychic like yourself?
That's a great question. And the thing is, we have to understand the whole culture here. There are a lot of different types of people who are doing this. There are some people who are well-intentioned and just really aren't very good at it. And there are some people who are absolute scam artists who will tell you that there's a dark cloud over you.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay them a whole bunch of money, bad things are going to happen. I talked to a person who had given one of these fraudulent people thousands of dollars to keep her dead son from doing drugs in heaven.
Oh, for gosh sake.
Right. And these people really are psychic. They are psychic enough to get you to believe them. And then they start with all of their fraudulent stuff, and they just scare you into giving them money. And unfortunately, there are more of those people than there are of people like me. So to answer your question, first of all, anyone who is sitting in a storefront behind a neon sign probably is someone you want to stay away from. Now, those are your fraudulent people. Now, the people who just aren't so good at it, maybe they're very well-intentioned, but they're just not so good. Those are harder to avoid. But what you want to do is look at their website and see what you feel, see what you think. And even, you know, look at how well they put together their website. Are they keeping a blog? Read some of their blogs. And the thing is, we will typically, the people who have readings with us, and when I say us, I mean the very many legitimate good readers in the world. I'm certainly not the only one. I'm lucky to have many, many fine colleagues all over the world. And basically, the best way to find us is word of mouth. Because if you find a reader that you really like, you're going to be happy to tell your friends about it. And that's really where I get most of my business, truly, is that way, through word of mouth.
How long do your readings last?
Well, depends on the venue. Okay. I can do a great reading in 3 minutes. I can do a great reading in 3 hours. If you're having a private reading with me, it will probably be an hour long.
Right.
But I also do the entertainment side, where I'll go to a corporate party or something like that. And now this is a funny thing. Here's some inside lingo. We call this the cattle call. The cattle call is when you sit and read for a line of people, and each person gets 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that.
Right.
I love doing that too. It's a lot of fun. But what happens is I can eventually figure out, if it's a business party, I can eventually figure out what business these people are in by the cards that come up for them. For instance, I was reading for a bar association event, and every person I read for got the justice card. They were all attorneys.
Wow.
Think about that, justice, right? Makes sense. Yep. There's another card, the Six of Pentacles, which is about giving. And I kept getting that for every single person at a party of people who give money for college. They do college funding. So they spend all day giving out money, and they get the card of being very, very generous. So, there's some humor in the work I do too.
Listen, we've got about a minute before we go to our break. What about these psychic fairs? Like I used to, in the early days of our show, we'd go to psychic fairs throughout Ontario, and we'd do live shows at the end of the night. And, during the day, I'd watch a person go to psychic after psychic after psychic after psychic after psychic, and they'd go to a psychic, then they'd stop, and they'd go home. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 psychics who did not give that person the answer they wanted to hear. The final one did, and once he or she heard what they wanted to hear, they walk away. So how do you, when you're at a psychic fair, how do you tell who's who?
Well, and years ago, I used to run a psychic fair, Christiana's Psychic and New Age Fair in Connecticut and Massachusetts. And honestly, I have never, the thing that you just described, I personally have not seen.
Oh, wow.
I have seen people go to every reader I had, but get exactly the same message from all of them. And in fact, there was one woman who was angry. She got her money back. We gave her money back for every single reading because she was angry because every one of us said the same thing to her.
Oh, wow.
She came back the next time we were in town and gave us our money back because it turned out we were all right.
Christiana, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Christiana Gaudet is our special guest. ChristianaGaudet.com, and we'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Welcome back, everyone. Listen, before we get back to our guest, Christiana Gaudet, Kevin Randall's got a great show on the X-Zone broadcast. It's called A Different Perspective. Gwilda Wiyaka has The Science of Magic. Joanna Carroll has Dialogue with Divinity. Let me see. Joe Egent has The World Beyond. Dr. Bernie Beitman has Connecting with Coincidence. Larry Lawson has Paranormal Stakeout. Justina and Peter Marsh do Too Good to Be True. And that's just some of the great programming we have available for you. 724-365 at www.xzbn.net. Christiana Gaudet is our special guest. Her website is christianagaudet.com. And Christiana, where's the strangest place that you've ever done a tarot card reading? Like, you know, you seem to be the kind of person that kind of likes to go off the main road once in a while.
Okay, so here's a list.
Okay.
Here's a list. I have done readings at the Navy sub base for the sailors. I have done readings at a nudist camp for the nudists.
Hold on here. Whoa, hold on. I have to ask you this question. Did you have to get naked?
I didn't have to, but I did.
Whoa.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Girl after my own heart. Okay.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So probably those two things, the sub base and the nudist camp, probably the strangest place. Although, and you know, I was doing an office party just recently where there was an alligator. This isn't a strange place, but it's a strange reading environment. I ended up reading the palm of an alligator, a live alligator.
Why?
Well, it was this party where they had an alligator handler, because that's entertaining, and they had me. And so, you know, what are you going to do? I read for the alligator.
What kind of things does an alligator? All right, so you look at the alligators. What are they? Paws?
I guess so. Okay. Yeah.
And you know what do you get? I mean, besides a lot of wet stuff.
I got really that he was mellow about being where he was, but he was really looking forward to the food treat that he knew he was going to get after, you know, exactly what you would think.
Okay. From being going into a nudist camp, getting naked, giving readings, and then reading alligators. My God, you lead an interesting life.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the majority of my day is spent either on the phone or on Skype or Messenger or FaceTime or in my office in Palm City, reading for people, you know, doing the hour readings, the half hour readings, reading for very normal people. That's my daily life, really, with just some of these other fun things peppered in.
I can just see the alligator back in the pen. Hey, you know what happened today? I was over at this kind of thing, you know, the trainer took me there, and there was this lady. Now, I've heard about this lady. I think this was the same lady who got naked once, but anyways, so she called me over, and I went over, you know, good, you look kind of good, lady. I'm hungry. And what'd she do? She read my paw.
There you go.
Yeah, my ma wasn't there, so she read my paw. You know, besides, you know, has there ever been someone that you've done a reading for that instead of being like the one you told us before where you did something so wonderful and gave this young man a second chance of life by giving him a kidney, has there ever been a time when you've just done the cards or you're doing the psychic reading and you can just see something totally hilarious going to happen to them in the near future and you just can't stop yourself from laughing?
Oh, isn't that interesting? Well, you know, I do have a good sense of humor. People tell me this anyway, and we do laugh a lot in readings. We cry a lot in readings. Yeah,
I would imagine so.
We do both. But, you know, funny, the one that's coming to me is this person who was working a job she really, really, really hated. And she wasn't a young person. She was, you know, midlife.
Right.
Working a job she hated. And she really thought that she was going to do it for the rest of her life, but that's not what showed up in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, there's something else you do. There's something else you love to do. What is it? What is it? And finally she said really sheepishly, well, I like to play the saxophone. And I read further and I saw her leaving her job and playing her saxophone in a band full time. And I saw as part of that there would also be romance. And she thought this was the most fanciful story. She kind of looked at me funny, like I was just making up stuff to make her feel good. Because here she is, this, sort of overweight 50-year-old woman. And I'm telling her she's going to be on a stage playing saxophone and ultimately marrying a guy also in this band. Turned out every single of those things happened within a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? You are one of the psychics that I just have to say that you're all heart.
Yes. Yes. There's a liability with that.
Oh, yeah.
But yes.
But no, and I mean that in the kindest way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and now I'm a Scorpio. And so I do have a stinger, and I'm a redheaded Scorpio. So there is that. Mm-hmm. I do have a temper. But yeah, at the end of the day, I really try to be all about compassion. And that is, when I look at the business that I do and the way that I work,
yeah,
I really try to bring that to every reading I do. I try to bring compassion.
Something that a lot of people who aren't as fortunate as I am to understand the behind the scenes of what happens in the psychic world do not realize that when people go to a psychic, the majority of psychics take it as an honor because these people are reaching out to the psychic.
Right. Yes, it is an absolute honor. And, I've been doing this for so long, I'm sort of involved in people's families.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I read for young people whose births I predicted.
Mm-hmm.
I have the opportunity to read for family members of loved ones that I read for in life. They've now passed on. So now I'm reading for the family members and channeling that client that I knew in life and had read for in life after they pass on. I'm still reading for them, bringing them in for their loved ones, for their family members. So I really do feel like I have an honored place in certain families' lives, and that, feels really good.
Have you ever come across someone who is a little hesitant or even afraid to talk to you, whether it be in the psychic readings or in the tarot readings?
Oh, absolutely. And I will say that there is no difference for me. You can't order one or the other.
Yeah.
If you have a reading with me, there will be cards and it will be psychic. And yes, there are people who just know me by reputation and will cross the street when they see me coming because they're afraid of me. And you've talked to me for a few minutes. I'm not scary, really. But it freaks them out a little bit because they're either misinformed about what it is I do.
Right.
Or maybe they're afraid that I'm going to see something. I wonder about their character, really, because I wonder if they're afraid that I'm going to see some of their wrongdoing or something of that nature. That's how you can tell an honest person is, if they trust that I'm going to see what I'm going to see. If they're hiding something, they're not going to want to talk to me.
Sure, that's understandable. But can you also, is it also possible that it is the fact of the unknown that this person doesn't know how you do what you do?
Well, it is a thing. And that's something people will say to me when I say something to them that, strikes them as very on point. They'll sort of say, how do you do that? And I have a spiritual answer for how I do that. But from my perspective, it really just is my job, and there are plenty of jobs I couldn't do. I'm a lousy waitress. I really admire people who can do those kinds of very quick, organized jobs because I sure can't. I would be terrible working in a bank, So, people who are good at their jobs are good at their jobs. And I just see myself as someone who's good at my job. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people don't see it like that.
Yeah. When you do a tarot card spread, how many cards do you use? Is there a special deck? Do you have preference?
Sure, I do have a preference. There are a number of tarot traditions, and I collect a lot of decks. I write about a lot of decks, and I play with a lot of decks. But professionally, I am a weight girl. I use cards that are either the cards that were designed by A.E. Waite and drawn by Pamela Coleman Smith, the Waite Smith deck. In the olden days, we called it the Ryder deck because the original publisher was Ryder and Sons.
Right.
So I will either use that deck or a deck that is patterned after it. And I use an 11-card Celtic cross. Now, most Celtic crosses are 10 cards. I have a special one, 11 cards. And typically, I start with those 11 cards. And then I use that. I don't like questions. You know, like if we're doing a radio show where I have to do like quick hits, then you can ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. If I'm doing a gallery presentation, same thing, ask a question, I give an answer. But in a reading, I don't like to start with a question. I want to do that Celtic cross, look at those 11 cards and see the story first. Then I see the questions that we need to ask my client, you know, are these the questions you think we need to ask? Typically they say yes, they may add one or two. And then we ask the questions one at a time. And the technique I use there, I call a dialogue, where I pick up all the cards, shuffle them, and then simply ask the question and pull a few cards and see how the story emerges.
Have you ever been in a public place, maybe walking through an airport, going through a grocery store, and you're communicated by somebody on the other side because someone in front of you or near you needs to hear a message?
That used to happen to me a lot, and it got me into trouble a lot. I was when I was very young, 19, 20, this used to happen to me. And it's not cool to walk up to some stranger and say, hey, you really need to quit that heroin habit.
Yeah, I can see with you that.
And so I've kind of made a deal with Spirit that when I'm working, and when I'm off, I'm off. Most of the time, that's how it works now. Now, the thing is, before I figured out how to make that deal, it really kind of handicapped me. I couldn't drive a car because I would get so much stuff from the other people on the highway, I would get distracted. And so I was limited in what I could do. Now that I've kind of figured out how to make that deal and turn it on and off a little bit, I'm a much more functional human being.
All right, stand by, my dear. You and I have to take our final break. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour. One of the sweetest ladies I know. Christiana Gaudet is her name. Her website is christianagaudet.com, and anybody who would give a kidney to help somebody out, man, one word comes to mind: angel. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Are you curious? Do you want to learn more about how the world works and have fun at the same time? Study coincidences with me, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on my Connecting with Coincidence radio show here on the XZBN network. Listen to Jungians theorize, statisticians randomize, true believers evangelize, while I categorize. I dance to the rhythm of coincidences. People who experience me see more of them. Maybe something on the show matches a thought in your mind. Let us know. Expand your mind to the weirdness happening around you. Synchronicity spoken here, there, and everywhere. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence in your search engine and find my website, my social media sites, and my blog.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, soul balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, for those of you who want to know where Hamilton is, no, this is not where Noah lives by any chance, just because I complain about the weather. Hamilton is in between the city of Toronto and Niagara Falls, Canada and New York, right on the shores of Lake Ontario. And we're right in between Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. So in the wintertime, we get tons of snow, and usually in the summertime, we get a lot of sunshine, but I don't know what's going on. And of course, President Trump doesn't believe in global warming, so we're not even going to go there. Christiana, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's been a great pleasure. And once again, I only have one word to describe you, and that's angel.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be here.
Now, during the break, just before we went on, about 10 seconds before, I said, hey, would you do a reading for me? And you said yes, so do your thing.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just going to keep quiet.
Okay. So I can just dive in and see what I see? Is that all right?
Yeah, and don't hold anything back. The audience is here.
Okay, very good. You can probably hear me shuffling my cards in the background. And what I do is I shuffle, I ground, I connect to heaven, I make a connection to you. That's what I'm doing energetically right now. And when I feel like the cards are ready, when I feel like I'm ready, which is now, I start pulling them out. And my first question for you actually is about where you're living. Now, you're married. There's a woman showing up here. I believe it's your wife. She seems like a very warm person, a very creative person. She probably has a good sense of humor as well. I assume that you live with her. And so this is really a question I'm going to ask you about the two of you. Do you anticipate any changes in where you're living? This could be actually moving. It could be someone moving in, someone moving out. It could be remodeling, redecorating. But I see a question either about where you're living or about real estate. Do you know anything about that?
I sure do.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah, by all means.
All right. We're going to be buying a property in Florida for the wintertime.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I tell you, Florida is the Canadian annex. Now, where in Florida?
Well, we're looking at around Fellsmere or or Sebastian.
Oh, beautiful. Well, if you're in Sebastian, you'll be near me. So that's what I'm voting for.
In fact, the reason why we are looking there is a good friend of mine who does a show on this network. His name is Larry Lawson. They did a para-unity conference last year, and they invited us to come down and be part of the conference. And we're going back this year in November. It's going to be November 3, 4, and 5. And Larry has become a very good friend of mine. He's a policeman. I'm a former cop. So we have a lot in common. And yes, my wife, who I love very much, we've been together so long, we have 6 children and 9 grandchildren.
My goodness. Now, I was going to ask about younger people, a couple of things.
Sure.
First of all, is there anyone in your family who might be gonna have another baby, maybe another grandchild, or somewhere else in the family, a pregnancy? Is that happening now, or can you imagine anyone?
No, it is happening now. Our son Ryan and his wife Ashley are expecting their second child, another grandchild for us, in September.
Perfect. I believe that will go well. I feel very comfortable and happy about that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I also see one of your kids doing some traveling. Is that anything you know about?
We have one daughter that she has a cottage up north, and she goes up north every weekend.
This is more international, more sort of noteworthy.
Not that I'm aware of, but they sometimes we'll get a call saying, "Hi, Mom, Dad, I'm going to Jamaica next week." So that wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know which kid it is, but it seems to have to do with a career. A very nice career opportunity. Don't worry, they're not moving to another country, but a career opportunity that will take them to another country to do something that will gain them some recognition within their field. So I believe that, really, your kids are successful in general, but there is one that I see that I see this happening over the next year. Over the next year,
I don't know, but it would not surprise me in the least.
Sure. Now, there's something I want to mention about you.
Ooh.
And I think it's interesting that you were a police officer. Often, and I end up reading for a lot of cops because cops tend to be very psychic. You talk about the policeman's hunch.
Yep.
It's a real thing.
It is.
It's a real thing.
Yep.
But what I can tell about you, at your very foundation, the card that comes up is the Ace of Cups, which is a card that talks about having a very open heart, being a very loving person. You are a lover, not a fighter. You did not become a cop because you wanted to shoot a gun. You became a cop because you really wanted to protect and serve.
That's right.
And that's who you are.
That's right.
I would also say to you, Rob, that you are an extremely generous person. You like to help people, you like to do for people, and that's a good thing. But I see a situation, and I don't know if this is recent or happening now, but a situation having to do with helping someone who sort of ends up taking advantage of you, helping someone, and again, you're a very intuitive person, but I think sometimes you won't listen to your intuition. And as you know, I like to help people too, obviously. But there is a warning here that says, yes, be generous. Yes, be kind. But sometimes you don't want to help people who won't help themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to help people who are going to end up disrespecting you. And this is something that may show up specifically in business. And so just keep an eye out for that.
You're dead on the money.
Okay, you know about that. Okay.
It happened last week.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Understood. And I mean, you're a sensitive guy. So when that happens, you will actually feel some hurt about it. You know, you will take it personally. You won't let it get to you too much for too long.
Yep.
But there is, and this makes sense too, there is something here that says you kind of need closure to something. Maybe there are other things here that you need closure to as well. But this, you know, perhaps this as well. Any questions? Anything you'd like to ask me while I'm reading for you? Not about me, but about you.
Oh, damn it. No, not really. You were dead on.
I try to be.
Now, I'm going to tell you something, and this is the God's truth. All my listeners are here. I've had so many readings over the years. You're the only one who got 5 out of 5.
Nice. Nice. Thank you.
Like you honed in on certain things that no one else ever did. I remember we had a medium on. Mind you, she could have been an extra large, I'm not sure. Anyway, she was channeling a message to me from the other side. And she said, Rob, your sister is communicating with me from the other side. She has a message for you. And I'm thinking, wow, how did she know that? And she's going, and she's going, and she's going. And we get close to the end of the show. I said, I got to tell you something. I don't have a sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was telling me, man, this was a beautiful story. And I gave her opportunity to back out several times. And she didn't. And she said, well, do you have a message? I said, yes. I don't have a sister. Like she had the blue eyes, the blonde hair. She was my best friend as we were growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to that at all. I've heard stories like that. I don't know why it happens like that. And that's not to say that I am right 100% of the time. I am human.
Yeah.
Certainly I can make mistakes too. But I don't understand how someone can work in this field and be that off. I mean, well, I can't think of any time, you know, certainly you can misinterpret what you get. Spirit speaks in symbols, whether you're working with cards or working with whatever, Spirit speaks in symbols. And so you can misinterpret your symbols.
Well,
that seems like a pretty wide, you know.
I'll give you one better than that. Last week, I have these 2 so-called ultra-professional mediums that they do readings for politicians, Fortune 500, and their bio was wow. So me being the kind of person I am, I'm very spontaneous. I can kind of sniff out a rat once in a while. Anyway, during the show, I said, all right, you can communicate with all these people. Oh, yes, we're very good. I said, fine. Is there anybody around me that would like to give a message? Well, we're not going to do that. Why not? Well, we can't. I said, why not? I don't want to. Why not?
Why not?
Click. They hung up.
Wow. They hung up on their interview?
Oh, yeah, right on air. Yep. So all I said was, well, I guess we know what kind of channels they are.
Yeah, you know, and this is the hardest part of my job. I'm going to tell you this right now. This is the hardest part of my job because people, I mean, that's the majority of what's going on out there. Obviously, I'm different than that. But how do you let people know? How do you let people know that you're different? And I just have to ask something real quick.
Sure.
Do you have, either living or dead, a significant person in your life named Paul, Paul?
No.
No. Okay. I don't know why that name keeps coming up to me. Maybe it's someone you're going to be meeting. Maybe it's someone I don't know, maybe it's someone you'll deal with in terms of your real estate deal in Florida. I don't know, but I just wanted to give you that name.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. That name Paul comes up on a daily basis with me, whether it's somebody I meet or somebody who calls. But the name Paul is very familiar to me.
Interesting, and it is a common name.
Hey, listen, you know what? We're out of time. I've got to say so long to you, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on the other side of this break, X-Zone Nation, as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.